Greetings, fellow classic TV fans! In 1968, the animated musical comedy The Archies began a 2-year run in the lineup of Saturday morning cartoons. Based on the comics by Bob Montana, the Filmation production aired on CBS for a grand total of 17 episodes. The musical cartoon trend appears to have started 4 years earlier when Rankin and Bass created the Beatles. The Jackson 5 and the Osmonds followed suit, but the one thing that set the Archies apart from these other hitmakers was that they simply were not a real-life band. Fresh off the success of the Monkees, legendary music executive Don Kirshner was tapped to oversee the music. So it comes as no surprise that he pulled it off with a comic strip cartoon. The Archies had a number of songs hit the charts, but in 1969 they scored a #1 hit with Sugar Sugar, which was written by Jeff Barry and Andy Kim. Performed by studio musicians and sung by Ron Dante, the bubblegum pop single stayed at #1 for 4 full weeks, ultimately earning Billboard's #1 Single of the Year title. During this era, there was a brilliant music marketing strategy of including music singles etched into the cardboard of breakfast cereal boxes. And the Archies' Sugar Sugar fit perfectly with what else? Super Sugar Crisp, of course. Greetings, fellow classic TV fans! In 1977, Filmation Studios brought a new Saturday morning cartoon to the lineup. The New Adventures of Batman aired on CBS for a total of 16 episodes. The thing that made this series special was that the voices of the Caped Crusaders were none other than Adam West and Burt Ward. Another interesting aspect was that Filmation was actually barred from using certain characters from the Batman universe. Contractually, the animated versions of these belonged to the rival company Hanna-Barbera, specifically for the cartoon Challenge of the Super Friends. At one point, the two shows were actually on the air at the same time, effectively giving Saturday mornings a double dose of the dynamic duo. The Filmation version would end up serving another very positive purpose for fans of the 1960s live-action show. Following the series, Adam West was intent on distancing himself from the role due to its immense popularity, leaving him somewhat typecast, thus initially turning down the voice acting part. But ultimately, he had a change of heart, realizing that the Batman role had actually been a positive occurrence, especially as it reacquainted him with legions of his adoring fans. And all this led Adam West to embrace this part of his legacy for the rest of his life. Greetings, fellow classic TV fans! Many of us are fans of the Saturday morning cartoon Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, which originally aired in 1969. Plenty of variations, including big screen versions of the show, sprang up over the years. But it was the second incarnation from 1972 that I found most interesting, which was called the new ScoobyDoo Movies. This one specifically included a broad range of real guest stars playing themselves. Classic TV comic legends were well represented, such as Don Knotts, Dick Van Dyke, Phyllis Diller, Jonathan Winters, and Tim Conway. The original Addams Family appeared with much of the original cast members, and amazingly, the iconic Jodie Foster was hired as the voice of Pugsley. They also touched on the world of popular music with the appearances of Cass Elliot from the Mamas and the Papas, the Monkees' Davy Jones, and also Sonny and Cher. Sonny and Cher? The new Scooby-Doo movies also utilized crossovers from other Hanna-Barbera cartoons like the Harlem Globetrotters, Josie and the Pussycats, and of course, Batman and Robin. It makes one wonder if Casey Kasem actually got double pay for playing both Robin and Shaggy in those episodes. Greetings, fellow classic TV fans! Did you know that the Rocky and Bullwinkle show actually had some notable narrators? The show's main narrator was actor William Conrad, who later went on to become canon. And then there was that warm-voiced narrator for that great segment, Fractured Fairy Tales. That was the voice of Edward Everett Horton. Horton appeared in many classic movies, including The Gay Divorcee. Pretty sure that meant something else back then. Arsenic and Old Lace, and one of my favorites, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. His many classic TV appearances included I Love Lucy, Dennis the Menace, F Troop, and the list just goes on. But just to top it all off, Horton has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and an LA street named after him. Now that's what I call some notable narrator achievements. Greetings, fellow classic TV fans! Classic TV cartoons had plenty of superheroes, as well as some hilarious superhero parodies. In 1967, creators Jay Ward and Bill Scott lampooned Tarzan with their cartoon George of the Jungle. Like Tarzan, George could also communicate with his animal friends. In this case, the much smarter ape named Ape, also Tookie Tookie Bird, and his dog Shep, who was actually an elephant. Like Tarzan's Jane, there was Ursula, who he called Fella. Of course, George could swing through the trees too, just not without hitting one. He was voiced by co-creator Bill Scott. Bill was also the voice of Bullwinkle and Dudley Do-Right. The classic voice talents of Hans Conried, June Foray, Paul Frees, and Dawes Butler rounded out the cast. The triple threat of George of the Jungle was the intermixed, completely unrelated shows Tom Slick. I loved the Thunderbolt Grease Slapper. And my personal favorite, Super Chicken. While they were clearly J. Ward productions, all with slapstick humor and each ending with a really bad pun and a pound on a timpani drum. All three of the great theme songs were written by Sheldon Allman and composer Stan Worth. With only 17 episodes, the humor of George of the Jungle worked so well that 3 decades later it made it to the big screen, not with 1, but 2 feature films. If George were here, I think he might say, "That good thing." Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. One of my fondest early memories was waking up on the weekends to catch my favorite Saturday morning cartoons, one of which was Wiley, Coyote and the Roadrunner. Originally created in 1948 from the minds of Chuck Jones and Michael Maltese, this specific Warner Brothers tune garnered 49 shorts, each about 6 to 7 minutes long. Beginning in the movie houses with their first episode, The Fast and the Furriest, they were originally meant to parody the zero-dialogue chases between the vastly popular cartoon Tom and Jerry. But these two Looney Tunes soon took on a life of their own. Each show immediately dove straight into the humor, beginning with a freeze-frame, mock Latin description of the two characters, and from there, the ingenious slapstick comedy ensued. It was Warner Brothers background animator and sound effects specialist Paul Julian who vocalized the beep beep, or me beep, whichever you prefer, sounds of the uncatchable and much smarter Roadrunner. Wile E. Coyote was able to cross over within the Merry Melody world, also appearing in 5 episodes of Bugs Bunny. In doing so, he was given a hyper-sophisticated voice. After all, he was a self-proclaimed genius. Although the Coyote's outlandish attempts to catch a nice Roadrunner meal never succeeded, the always hilarious entertainment of this classic cartoon surely did. Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. Of course we all know who the Beatles are, but do you remember their animated show? No, I'm not talking about the Yellow Submarine. I'm talking about their Saturday morning cartoon. It ran at the height of their fame from 1965 to 1969, but it said they really weren't all that impressed with it. But no matter how you slice it, it was a powerful promotional tool as it featured full-length versions of their songs. And as for the opening themes, the first season used Hard Day's Night into Can't Buy Me Love. The second season used Help, and the third season used And Your Bird Can Sing. Unfortunately, the initial views of the cartoon discouraged the Beatles from wanting to participate in the making of Yellow Submarine. That later changed once they saw it, and that's why you get that little clip of them at the end. And eventually, a couple of the members admitted they actually liked the Saturday morning cartoon. John Lennon said, "I get a blast out of watching them," and George Harrison said, "They're so bad, they're good." Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. In 1964, a single-season Hanna-Barbera cartoon joined the ranks of the Flintstones and the Jetsons in a primetime slot. It was called Johnny Quest, and how's this for a mouthful for the genre? An original American science fiction/adventure animated television series. And here's one I surprisingly hadn't heard before: Spy-Fi. And no wonder we loved it. Full of action and intrigue, the realism of the animation was a true artistic breakaway from the usual Hanna-Barbera productions. With diverse main characters, the 11-year-old Johnny was usually joined in his adventures by his adopted brother Haji, and of course, their bulldog, Bandit. His scientific genius father, Dr. Quest, was portrayed for most of the episodes by the popular voice actor Don Messick. Messick also did Bandit's barks, and why not? He was also the voice of Scooby-Doo. The special agent charged with the protection of the Quests was Race Bannon. He reportedly was modeled off the 1940s and 50s movie star Jeff Chandler. The voice of the original Johnny was actor Tim Matheson. You may remember him as Otter from Animal House and also as Captain Loomis Burkhead in Spielberg's 1941. Clearly, Johnny Quest covered a lot of bases and thus was so powerful that the single 26-episode season actually led to 20 years of reruns as it made its way through all 3 major networks.